Okay, it says I'm live. Let's see. Can you all hear me? I was like, take a moment and get things set up before we get started. Hope everyone has been having a lovely week so far. A lot of very chaotic, crazy energies going on. Good. People can hear. Yep. A lot happening, a lot going on, a lot of chaotic energy and spinning plates, a lot of just commotion that's happening. So that's the beauty of times like this. If nothing else during your week, that you can take a few moments to carve out for yourself and get in touch with the inner you. Take some time to just chill. We all need that. And I don't think we get enough of that in our life. Okay. Well, tonight's meditation is going to be about abundance. Typically, for many of us, when we hear the word abundance, we think of wealth. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Although abundance has a lot more of what it could mean beyond that. We want to have an abundant definition of abundance. So it could mean an abundance of health, abundance of friends and social life, abundance of a whole bunch of different things. So we'll be covering all those different areas this evening. So yeah, we all need me time. We all need me time. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. More people want to chime in, they're welcome to. So we typically start in the same way every week, where we want to move past the default with how our brains work, how our bodies work, how our interfacing with the world works. And we are wanting to kind of switch to a lower gear. A lot of stress, a lot of things that have to get done in doing mode. And during this time of meditation and going within, there is a call for us to move from doing mode to what's called being mode. And this is a different shift in our energy. The word meditation itself means to become familiar with. So this is a practice. This is a building of a relationship that we have between our small, sometimes they use the word ego self, the false self, the part of us that forgets and gets stuck in scarcity and the push-pull dynamics of everyday life and the games that people play and the lower vibrational emotions, if we can use that phrase. And then this remembrance of the higher self, this recognition that there's something more going on here than just banging around every day, dealing with the day-to-day stuff. And that is like smelling salts, that when we engage in practices like meditation, that there's a remembrance for us to fall back into, oh yeah, there is something higher going on here, higher in terms of life, higher in terms of my consciousness or my connection with something more than just the little me. And this practice is building a relationship. That's the work, building a relationship with that, building this gap stop so that we have remembrances built into our regular everyday life, that these habits keep us connected with that something higher. And these smelling salts then become imperative for us to live a more fulfilling life, a deeper and richer life. And this is the work. and you might use different phrasing to reference what we're talking about here. I like to use the word spiritual practices, but having some sort of continuation that keeps you out of 3D, as we'll often say on this channel here as we move forward, becomes so important for us to live just a more enriching life experience. So, meditation will be one of those practices. And that's why it's such a blessing for me to be able to have an outlet like this to share some of these practices and ideas, as well as us to have kind of a regular ongoing practice for us to get into. So, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's go ahead and get started. So, again, what I encourage you to do is to get into a comfortable position. If you can, we want to lessen the degree of outside stimuli that's coming in. That could be noises, that could be excessive light. If you have a lot of blue light from maybe above you or around you. And this is a time for us to slow down, to move out of that doing mode, as I was saying, and getting more into being mode. And there's going to be a fine line that we play with in here of wanting to switch our brainwave frequencies. In a future video, I'll talk about some fun tools that are out there to help us kind of change our brainwave frequencies and get some objective feedback in terms of when we're getting out of our everyday waking consciousness. But if we get stuck in the stress mode of everyday life, then what happens is we can swing pendulums to where we're at everyday waking consciousness, like where we are right now. This is called beta. And then we transition into a slower, deeper brainwave of relaxation, whether that be alpha, which is the next one down, or theta, which is more of a deeper brainwave, a deeper relaxation response that we get. But once we start going into those deeper frequencies, there is much more of a tendency for us to fall asleep. So, my point is having some sort of methodology that you can do to get into these lower frequencies without slipping on the banana peel and falling asleep. So we can cover a number of those practices. And if that comes up in the chat, let's say like at the end, I always like to leave room for questions. And so if that comes up, we can certainly brainstorm that together in terms of what that can look like. Because there's lots of fun tools out there to kind of help with that. So let's go ahead. If you'd like, you can close your eyes. Taking a moment to transition now, being very intentional. Taking this time to move away from learning, being receptive, hearing my words and taking them in. And transitioning to going further within yourself now. Expanding this field of awareness with the focus of our attention from thinking and listening and processing. Transitioning this focus out of our head and now into our body. What's happening with your back, with how you're seated. If there are any further more micro movements that might need to be made to just further settle into your seat. Knowing that for the next few minutes, there's nowhere we have to go, nothing we have to do. This time for accomplishing and task completion can be put on hold. In the East, they use the term yin and yang. Sometimes they phrase it yang. The yang is the masculine energy of outward expression, completion, focus, getting things done. Yin is the opposite, soft, receptive, emotional, intuitive. And so, with our practice here, we are trying to channel that yin energy, that sense of nourishment, that we're carving out time in our precious day to devote just to us, a time to recharge, and a time to connect with something higher. And for the purpose of tonight's meditation, for abundance. So let's bring our attention now to our breath. Breathing in and out of our chest region with the spotlight of our focused attention on the breath. And as we breathe, our minds may wander. Our attention might be pulled to outside stimuli or other inner stimuli, such as thoughts or emotions or physical sensations like pain. We want to be careful here because the mind will create a tug of war. So the invitation is to roll out a welcome mat, to allow life to unfold as it does, and to bring our intention back to at least trying to keep the bulk of our attention on our intention, which for right now is the breath. Feeling your body start to further settle into your seat. Giving permission that this vehicle that carries us around, this vessel that houses the true essence of us, is allowed right now to just be. Giving it permission that no vigilance is needed. That you are safe in this moment to just simply be. Transitioning the breath now to your mouth or nose. Following the breath like a guard who might follow those who enter and exit a particular location they are positioned at. So if that's the mouth, to follow the breath and watch it transition inward. If it's the nose, keeping guard with the nostrils. Personally, I prefer to breathe in with my nose. And then as we breathe out, perhaps through the mouth, we keep our attention at this point of exit. Having a practice like this gives the mind something to do, which has it less likely to wander. Letting waves of stress come off of you now with each breath. And on your next inhale, to breathe in deeply and to then hold your breath for a moment. And imagining all stress and negative emotional energy that's been stuck inside of you to just cling like a magnet to the breath. And then on the exhale, to allow all that stagnant energy to be released from your body. And now on the next inhale, breathe in deeply once again. This time having judgments, being attracted to this breath energy. Judgments we might have toward ourselves, perhaps mistakes, judgments from others. And on the out breath, releasing all of that energy. That energy is not helpful for us when we are desiring to create something new. But there is a need for release first before we can invite the new to come in. And taking one last breath now, breathing in deeply and holding it, searching on the inward for any sort of residual hiding negative energy, emotions of stress or anger, sadness, fear, shame, guilt, allowing all of that energy to magnetically cling to the breath. And then as we breathe out, intending for all of that energy to leave. It no longer serves us for where we wish to go next. And now we have laid the important foundation. We have walked up to the door. The door is now open, and it is ready for us to transition to the next segment of this meditation. So, what I'd like you to do is to now think. When you hear the word abundance, what comes to your mind? Maybe it's a visual that you see. Maybe it's another sense or other thought topics. What do you think of when you hear the word abundance? And we'll begin by subjectively taking whatever comes to mind. And now I'd like you to imagine that this thing, maybe it's love, maybe it's health or money, maybe it's an abundance of peace. Whatever this thing is, to imagine as though right now that you have more of this. Feel as though this thing that first comes to your mind when you hear this word is now more present in your life. What would you feel if this were more present? Feel those feelings now. We are wanting in this process to teach the body to move beyond reaction mode, to move beyond only feeling what currently is. So that when we picture a favorable hypothetical with our thoughts, that our body can begin to feel that before the thing is here in the physical. And now think about something that is missing in your life, something that is lacking, that you would desire to have more of. What is that thing? There might be several things that come to your mind, but I encourage you to pick the one that has the most energy attached to it. And the process remains the same. Whatever that thing is, play out a hypothetical with your thoughts. On the movie screen of your mind, imagine as if you had more of that right now. What would be projected on the movie screen? What do you see? What's happening around you? Where are you? Who are you with? What's happening in this scene? And now, most importantly, what do you feel? What is happening within you? How does the energy shift in your body if that thing you are desiring so much were already here? On an energetic level right now, things are beginning to shift in the quantum field. The energies are lining up to have more experiences that you will now allow to have in your life where more of that thing is likely to come to you. And this is the work. As this next week unfolds, keeping your eyes out for situations or circumstances that confirm that this thing that you want, that more of it will begin to show up in your life. The more you feel the abundance as if this thing were already here, those factors of resistance that magnetically propel that thing away from coming to us is now decreasing in strength. We are flipping the energy. We're wanting the magnet to now turn around to attract more of what we desire. And feeling the feelings right now in this moment of the end result is the work. And now let's transition to health. To health. What comes to mind when you think of health and abundance? What would abundant health look like in your life? Does that mean more energy, less pain, more mobility? Abundant health. This one can be challenging if we're facing a lot of health problems, as it's such immediate feedback for us to feel into these meat suit bodies we carry around with us, where we have such glaring observations of the opposite of what we desire. But in this space of meditation, we are carving out a pause between stimulus and response, us making an observation and noticing what we observe. This is our time to dream, our time to play with creativity, and to step outside of the confines that come with observed reality. This is an invitation for you to think about abundant health. And in this moment, teaching your body what abundant health could entail. Feeling it now in your body, giving yourself permission to step outside of our typical way in which we approach life, to expand now, and to create a new thought, collapse a new quantum wave, and have more of those delicious particles flow into our life. How would you feel if you had abundant health? And now moving to the realm of relationships. Relationships. What does abundant relationships look like for you on this sacred movie screen in your mind? Healthy, positive, abundant relationships. Perhaps that might be friendships or a partnership or family ties with parents or children, siblings or other. Abundant relationships. This process involves getting in touch with our heart, our intuition, allowing ourselves time during this meditation to think big, to think beyond of what is to what could be. What could be for you with abundant relationships? Allow this movie clip to now play in your mind. Who would be there? What would you be doing? How would the interaction unfold? Is there healing that's needed? Are there different emotions needing to be introduced into a current relationship? Or perhaps it's an opening up to something new. Maybe you are single and looking to find someone. What would that abundant relationship feel like for you? Train your body now to feel abundant relationship. And now we turn to our finances. Our spirits are always about expansion, and financial growth is no exception. Many of us can get caught in the low energies and limited consciousness that comes from scarcity. It comes from feeling as though we don't have enough. It leads to a churning, a struggle, a strife to compete for limited resources. And so now we give our mind permission to change the frequency of the radio station that's being broadcasted. We are moving away from scarcity FM and turning the dial to abundant wealth FM. Abundant wealth. Abundant wealth. What comes to mind when you hear the phrase abundant wealth? Is there resistance? Do you feel as though you don't deserve abundant wealth, or that it's not possible for you to achieve it? Recognize that if any of these thoughts or feelings occur, it's nothing more than prior programming. These prior programs get in the way and cause static from letting the beautiful, harmonious sound of abundant wealth to flow in through the speakers of our life. If you had abundant wealth now, how would you know? Would you look at your bank account? See the number of zeros and commas? Would it be you traveling more? Carrying more cash on you? Dressing in a more wealthy way? Have more money to give to others? What does abundant wealth mean to you? Playing out this theme now, once again, on the movie screen of your mind. Having a small clip playing of what abundant wealth could look like if it were to show up more in your life. Abundant wealth. Once again, now we need to teach our body what abundant wealth feels like. What would it feel like if all your bills were covered? What would it feel like if you had more left over at the end of every month? What would it feel like if looking at bills and paying bills were never given a second thought because there was so much abundance? It was never a fear. What would that feel like in your body? How would you feel if you walked into a store and could pick something you were interested in and purchase it without ever looking at the price tag? How would you carry yourself with your body if you had abundant wealth? In this moment, when we are able to tap into the feeling energy of this abundance, this is how we change the radio station to be on Wealth FM. And now reflecting on your career. What do you do with the vast majority of your day? Do you work? Are you a student? Are you a parent? What does career entail for you? And now, how can we bring more abundance to this aspect of your life? Abundance with your career. If things were easier, if there was less stress involved, if you were able to tap into an energy of flow and feel more streamlined with work, what would that feel like? How do you see your day progressing differently? Feel those feelings now. In this moment, from an energetic point of view, there is a streamlining that's occurring. Your future is shoring up. In those hypothetical scenarios, the infinite potential that exists in the quantum field around us is now starting to take further shape because of our intentions that we are doing right now, and the magnetic power that comes from feeling the end result. And one last area for us now. We might use the word spirituality here. To me, spirituality means two things. The first is this relationship that can never not be between our normal, everyday ego self, walking through our 3D consciousness as we exist, and that's something that's higher, something that is more than just the little us. Sometimes I like to use an acronym I came up with called GLUE. Whether we reference this as God, love, the universe, or energy, there is something higher that acts as a sticking agent that keeps us tethered to this higher intelligence that has our best interest in mind. Spirituality is also referencing our sense of meaning and purpose in our life. When we have a vision or a goal we are trying to achieve, something that keeps us on that straight and narrow with focused purpose, there is an energy that comes with that. It's time for us to tap into that energy now. Where are you in your life? What's happening on a larger scale? If the world were to be broken down like the superhero movies of multiple timelines in this multiverse, are you living your highest timeline? If not, why? What's getting in the way? Imagining now if we could carve out some time in this creative space of meditation to transcend and get back on that highest timeline. What would that mean for you? If that's too daunting or overwhelming of a question, start smaller. What could have you inch your way closer to living a life that you are more proud of? A life that expresses further radiance. A life that allows you to love out loud. Spiritual abundance. Taking these ideas now and seeing once again on this movie screen of your mind what's playing when you think of this topic. How can abundance further show up in your life in this capacity? What would you be doing? Who is around you? And most importantly, what would you be feeling? Feeling is the secret. Where in your body would you be feeling this feeling? Would it be in your heart? Would it be in your gut? Would it be in your arms or your body as a whole? what would you be feeling? Feel these emotions now. Abundance, the time for scarcity, the time for survival, the time for not enough in any capacity of our life has now ended. We are starting a new chapter, and abundance is our North Star. It is our birthright to have abundance. And the work is by getting there on the level that we're talking about now first. This opens the door to allow it to further come into our life. And as we finish this meditation for this evening, taking a moment to think of any other topic or desire from your heart that might be bubbling up to the surface when you hear this word of abundance. What is missing in your life? What do you feel you don't have enough of or would desire more of? And allowing that topic to come to your mind now. Taking this topic now, the seed idea, and now unpacking it, thinking about it, allowing a scene to form on this movie screen of your mind. Abundance. And now, how would it feel in your body if this particular form of abundance were further present in your life? Feel that now. Allow the stress and the scarcity and the fighting to end. Feeling anchored in your body and safe. Allowing your emotions to transcend to something higher, to something stronger, to something more loving, to something more abundant. And as we bring this meditation to a close, knowing, of course, at any time you may wish to return to this particular meditation or a variation of it that you do on your own. But know that this is the hidden master key that allows more abundance to flow into our life. And as we bring this meditation to a close now, taking a moment of gratitude for yourself. Gratitude that you have been willing to carve out time to place yourself and your future as a priority. Bringing your attention now to your fingers and toes. Taking one last breath, breathing in and holding, and slowly letting go. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and bring yourself back to the room, back to this space, back to the here and now. Thank you all for joining me. At the end, I always like to leave space for comments or questions that others may have or wish to share. And if there isn't anything, that's always just fine too. I thank you all for joining me this evening, for carving this time out for yourself. This is very sacred work that we're doing, and it has much more of an impact on your life than many of you might realize. This is huge, very powerful. So, sounds like people are appreciating it. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for being here. I will do my best to try to make it every Monday. So, have a beautiful rest of your evening. Stay abundant, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.